Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I'm Tony the Quano.
Today's movie, we are doing The Big Lebowski, a favorite of ours. So,
absolutely.
I've seen this movie a ton of times. Probably not nearly as many times as you've seen it.
No, I see this anytime, just about any time when I really just need to pick me up. It changes my mood.
It is good for that. It is a great pick-me-up movie. And I would say that it's probably my favorite Coen Brothers movie. There are some others that are great, but I think Big Lebowski is my top Coen Brothers movie.
It's my top. It is probably the second one that I saw. Probably the first one that I saw was Raising Arizona.
That one is fantastic.
And I think I saw that even before I could have told you who the Coen Brothers were. And it didn't really come onto my radar again until Fargo, which my dad saw in the theaters. I wasn't allowed. But then it wasn't long after Big Lebowski came out. I was able to watch Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
I've been watching it ever since.
Yeah, I didn't watch Fargo until probably 10 years or so ago.
Okay.
So it was fairly recent for me for seeing Fargo, but it seemed like Big Lebowski many times before that. But still, Big Lebowski, I saw fairly late in the game, too. I didn't see it when it first came out. I saw it, I think I got home from work one night when I was bartending.
Okay.
I got home from work one night, and my dad was sitting in the living room. It was on TV, and he was watching it, so I caught like the second half of it. Then sometime after that, went and actually watched it from the beginning.
Yeah, no, it came on my radar. You know, I remember actually there being a news segment on the weekend talking about Steve Buscemi and how in the new Coen Brothers movie, and they were like, "Will he die in his new role in The Big Lebowski?" Since he had died in every Coen Brothers movie he'd been in, right?
Oh, by the way,
high school.
Before we get too much farther into this, spoiler alert for everybody who has not seen the movie. If you haven't seen Big Lebowski, then, if you don't like spoilers, then why are you listening to a Big Lebowski podcast? But if you have not seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, then pause the podcast, go watch the movie, and please come back and listen. But if you don't mind spoilers, then keep on listening, because we are going to be talking about every aspect of this movie. Beginning, middle, end, all the fun stuff that happens, all the not so fun stuff that happens, and so you have been warned.
Absolutely.
Anyway, continue, Tony.
Yeah. So it's been on my radar, and I think as I got into high school, I was starting to get more into cinema, and they were on my radar, and I watched at some point, probably a year or two after it was released. I actually saw it, fell in love with it, and kind of fell in love with the Coen Brothers. And I think I saw Fargo not long after that. I was able to get that at probably Blockbuster. The wife and I were telling our son just last week all about Friday night at Blockbuster Video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you and I used to spend plenty of Friday nights at Blockbuster.
Yes. And then my freshman year of college, I took a film studies class, and we did a whole course on different directors, and one of them was the Coen Brothers, and started seeing more of their movies. And so now for me, when I'm not even watching, I just filter a lot of Big Lebowski through connections within the whole filmography. Even by at that point, they were very much had their set standard of actors. John Goodman being one of them. Who,
how many Coen Brothers movies has John Goodman been in? I mean, he's been in almost all of them, right?
Yeah, up to that point, he'd been in almost all of them. He doesn't do as many now, but he did Raising Arizona. Mm-hmm. He was in Barton Fink, and
Brother Art
Thou. More recently, Llewellyn Davis. So he's the mainstay. Anyway, but I guess just from the beginning of the movie, just sets it with the music, and then Sam Elliott's narration.
Yes, Sam Elliot is a very underrated narrator. Everybody always gives it to Morgan Freeman, which, I mean, deservedly so. Morgan Freeman is a great narrator. But nobody gives Sam Elliot enough credit for his narrating abilities.
Absolutely.
And his mustache. I mean, Sam Elliot, yes, everybody appreciates his mustache. But, I mean, the three mustaches that, like, beat all mustaches, at least according to the general public, is Tom Selleck, Burt Reynolds, and Sam Elliot. Now, I would have to give Sam Elliot the edge on that one because, I mean, not only is it a fantastic stash, but he has had it in many different styles throughout his career.
Well, that was what I was going to bring up. He's very versatile with his mustache.
Yes. Your Selleck mustache and your Reynolds mustache, they're pretty much the same style. I mean, maybe a couple of slight tweaks here and there throughout their careers, but it's almost like just about every role that Sam Elliott has, he has a different style of mustache, and they're all great.
He does. And even here, he gets a little bit of screen time, and it's its own stash again. And fits with this cowboy hat.
Yeah.
His whole setup, his whole style, as a dude would call it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I don't know, he's like, in a lot of ways, I guess a narrator, you can kind of think of it, being the Greek chorus. He just adds everything you need to it.
Yeah.
And they bring him in at the right time. And I like how he actually shows up in the movie.
Yeah. And then while on screen, he does the ending narration for the movie. Or at least starts the ending narration.
Yes, he does.
So it's not like he plays a separate character in the movie when he's on screen than it is when he's the narrator. But it's the same guy. Which is just, it's great how they're able to tie that in. Yeah.
And, it was, I guess, when you watch anything, especially always different things can pick up. But sometimes there's different facets of things that catch your attention more. Maybe you kind of forgot about. And it's just even, I guess, kind of that last interaction between the dude and the stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of going back and forth about almost all the events.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder, is stranger in some ways, not really God, but really, who is he? And how does he actually fit in? And how does he know everything? Yeah. I think it's great casting.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you.
Right. And I mean, it's a perfect summation of the themes of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that was the next thing I was going to think of is you have his narration, and you got all the shots of LA. And that's, I think, besides dialogue, scripting, I think one of the great strengths of the Coen Brothers movies is that, they really kind of nail their setting. They know well how to convey that certain, not just the era, but again, I guess, when I say setting, whether it be Los Angeles or Texas, or Minnesota.
Yeah.
How to nail the characters and the people, make everything feel really lived in. And they do that well with establishing all the shots, I think, and then just the tumbleweed. But again, it harkens back. For anyone that's seen Miller's Crossing, there's a hat that tumbles also in that movie. It's very, that's conveying much the same feeling of randomness, of not knowing where things are going, which is one of the brilliant things about the movie is that so super well scripted, right? Everything is laid out in that movie, how they're going to do it, how they're going to shoot it. But, one of the themes about it is just the randomness of everything.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. And, as just the quote you were saying, sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. But it's kind of a great setup for everything because it's, again, he has kind of the closing narration, piece of dude abides, ends it. A good bookmark for everything that then comes in between.
Yeah.
The book ends.
Yeah. It's brilliantly done. It is a great movie. It really is. It's a well-made, well-acted, well-written, well-directed movie.
I will say, because I did watch it again, I almost don't have to, but I'm not going to pass up a chance
to
watch The Big Lebowski. usually, if I'm going to be imbibing in anything, it will be either a White Russian or a beer, right? I drank coffee with it this time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really? See, if I had the fixins for a White Russian, I would have made one while I was watching it. But no, I think I had a beer while I was watching it.
Yep.
But
I finished my coffee.
Oh, nice.
I love that scene. I mean, we can get to that later. Because Walter had friends that died face down in the muck.
Yes,
so
yes,
I
he
enjoy
did.
A coffee while watching this fine movie.
Yes, indeed. And if you want a toe, he can get you a toe.
You don't want to know how. I'll get you a toe.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, it's, again, that setup, and it all leads brilliantly just to the introduction to the dude.
Yeah. It's just, played brilliantly by Jeff Bridges.
Which is almost crazy when you think about it, because I was thinking about it again. It's like, he's become so synonymous with the dude now. Yeah. Right? Like, when that first came out, he would not have been that synonymous.
No, I mean, what was his big classic role before that? Like, what was there a particular character that he was known for than anything else that he's played?
He had some lead roles, but he did a lot of the character roles too.
Because, I mean, he was Flynn in Tron.
He had a couple of Oscar nominations, but he wasn't like, he's a name that moviegoers knew, but it wasn't like he was. I mean, at that point, I think he had 2, maybe 3 Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, he wasn't nominated for Big Lebowski.
No, but yeah, he had been in a lot of stuff. He was a successful actor, and everybody knew his name, but there was never like really one particular character that he was known for at the time.
Right, and he was a rather up to that point mostly serious roles. And, I think it took until most people had been able to watch it through mostly like video, DVD, TV, that he slowly became the dude to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? That same year, I think it was in the same year, 98, Arlington Road came out, and that was such a different role for him.
Yeah, it was. It was a great movie, though.
Closer to his
it was way different.
More normal role you would expect Jeff Bridges to be. Which is kind of, it's funny because, like, most of the wardrobe in that movie was his wardrobe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, most of what the dude wears is Jeff Bridges' clothes.
If he's watched The Fisher King, Jeff Bridges wears some of the same clothes that the dude wears it. So, he embodies the character. He creates the character, he becomes the character, and it's perfect because it's so iconic, and obviously there's other iconic characters in it as well.
Yeah, and just a little aside, if you like Jeff Bridges, you should check out The Old Man on FX and Hulu, the new series with him. He plays a retired CIA operative. It's fantastic. He does an excellent job in it.
I am behind on a lot of my TV watching. I'm finally finished season 5 of Better Call Saul, which I had been mostly caught up to until the middle of season 5.
Okay, I've only watched
2.5 years to finish it.
I've only watched through season 2 so far on that, so I still have a little bit of watching to do on Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I'm behind on a lot of my TV. It's just stuff out there. But yeah, I just love how that opening scene of him is just he's in the bathrobe. And his little jelly slippers.
At Ralph's.
Yeah.
Buys the half and half, writes a check for 69 cents.
So that's September 11th, 2000.
Yeah, that's right.
1991.
That's right. It was September 11th, 1991.
And he got Bush, speaking, obviously, And, there's one of those details. And, they kind of set up that, that's going to be when it's set, right? It's about the time of the Gulf War. There's aspects of there that they then sprinkle into the rest of the movie, whether it's the line of "This cannot stand" or Saddam popping up in the middle of
a dream sequence. Which that was the first time I saw the movie. I came in on the dream sequence, so that scene was the first scene that I saw. of Big Lebowski.
Like, why is Saddam Hussein giving someone
bowling shoes? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Saddam gives him bowling shoes in his dream.
That's a funny scene going on. Like, you just randomly see Saddam Hussein, and there's this giant tower of bowling shoes.
Yep. And then then the dude is just floating down the bowling lane underneath all the women's legs and slowly spinning around. Did you ever hear?
See something frightening.
Yep, see something frightening, and his eyes get huge. You know what happened there? So I'm not sure that particular reaction was in the script, but according to, I was listening to an interview with Jeff Bridges before, and he was telling about that scene, and one of the girls in the scene had taken a bunch of like a wig or a big bunch of hair and crammed it down the front of her pants. So it's like coming out on the sides. So when he turned and looked up, that's what he saw. He saw this just like big bundle of hair. Yeah. So that reaction may or may not have been in the script. I don't know if it was or not, but apparently
it was worth putting in regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love how the dream sequence is called Gutter Balls, because the whole, I mean, we haven't gotten to talking about that part of the movie yet, but it's a reference to Jackie Treehorn being a porn producer. And the dude's dressed like a cable guy because of the video that Maud had shown him the beginning of before log jamming with the cable guy. You'll never guess what happens next. He fixes the cable.
He fixes the cable. Oh, he fixed something.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually pretty impressive. I've thought about this before. Man, it just, I guess, shows you how quickly they produce those types of movies, right? We find out later in the movie, like, Bunny's barely been in L.A. for a year, but she's been there long enough to get married to...
Yeah. To the Big Lebowski.
Not fake billionaire, but yeah. And then also star in pornography.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people to help set forth these events. But yeah, and then thinking about like this, I guess it gets back to the setting though. Like I was just kind of thinking about like I had a thought about the dream sequences because the dream sequence, two of them, they're really off the wall. It makes sense, but just the other parts of the setting, like the dude's apartment is like major set piece.
Yeah.
And there's so many little aspects of it.
The whole
great. And I love how like the first thing time you see it, it's just you kind of break off of the music. Now you can really get in the movie, and there's these two kind of low level thugs.
Yeah. One played by
one of which is Jacob.
Yeah, one is Jacob from Lost. Mark Pellegrino.
I love when people kind of figure it out later. It's like, oh, that one thug. Yeah. The one thug is Jacob.
Yeah, Jackie Treehorn's thug is Jacob. But yeah, so yeah, the whole inciting incident of the movie. He gets home from buying his half and half at Ralph's.
Just wants his white Russian.
He walks in the house, gets attacked by Jackie Treehorn's thugs, starts getting a swirly by by Mark Pellegrino, by Jacob.
Yeah.
While the other guy pees on his rug. It really tied the room together.
It's obviously the catalyst is him peeing on the rug.
Yeah.
And it never makes sense
No. Why? Why did he pee on his rug? It makes no sense.
To pee in his toilet, waiting for him.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is just that it's trying to intimidate him or something, or I don't know.
Maybe he's not housebroken.
Trying to just rub in the fact that you know they're there to get Jackie Treehorn's money.
You see what happens. Which is a line that does come up later.
Yes, it is.
Really, I've never really thought about that. How that line happens again later.
Yeah. I never thought about that either.
You know what? What if that sets off another alternative type of movie where that guy needs to try to track down and figure out how to get his car back?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a catalyst. And yeah, like I was like, dude's obviously upset because the rug tied the room together.
You really did.
It's weird that some strange dude's peeing on it. And furthermore, like he said, it's pretty obvious he's not a millionaire.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought his reaction was perfect when the Jacob thug picks up the bowling ball. He's like, "What's this?" The dude's like, "Obviously you're not a golfer."
And he drops it on his tile.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that screwed the dude's security deposit?
Yeah. I mean, the dude didn't seem to be paying his rent anyway, so or at least not on time. But
there is a little detail that I've always kind of liked. Again, it's the little specifics. It's like if you look at the toilet paper holder, it's just like a one little square,
one little square of toilet paper on the
and then there's a
roll.
small little roll on top of the tank.
Yeah,
and so that's how it sets off. And obviously not a golfer. No, but yeah, it's a great introduction to the character now too. Like, we kind of hear about him. You see the scene in the grocery store, but now we see him actually interact. And you kind of see the chill attitude, and then it segs towards the bowling alley, where we get into our next characters, right?
Where we meet Walter and Donnie.
To feel out the rest of his world, you get the next major kind of set piece of the bowling alley. But you get the feel now for his friends, feel the world that he lives in beyond just the apartment. What you say, is Donnie and Walter.
Who, the two of them have a great dynamic throughout the whole movie.
They do. And it's kind of subtle how they do it, too.
Mm-hmm.
You get one very bombastic personality and one very mousy personality. Who, Steve Buscemi doesn't really have a lot of lines.
No, he really doesn't. He's kind of just a background character the whole time. But
background, but he plays it well within how he responds to things and the timing between the characters with it. Because, first see Donnie, he's bowling, he gets a strike, right? And the dude's just telling a story. And he just walks into the story.
Yeah.
like Walter says, right?
Yeah.
But then it's the timing between how it all unfolds from there.
And then just they're talking about Lenin. I am the Russian Lenin. Donnie thinks they're talking about John Lennon, so he just keeps on repeating, "I am the walrus. I am the walrus. I am the walrus."
But Donnie's probably a Beatles fan. It's fine. I can see the dude getting really into acid era Beatles.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
And but I guess it's the thing too with Walter. It's he just brings out so many different kind of references. It's kind of funny, he's angry and impulsive. He's kind of like this intelligent guy. He kind of senses what's going on the entire time.
He's very he's very intuitive.
That will eventually say that, I think she's she kidnaps herself.
Mm-hmm.
But he's intuitive, and he's not one rattled easily either. It's just
I mean, he's a vet.
When everything goes wrong, he's just
he's a Vietnam vet. But He doesn't shut up about Vietnam the whole movie. But
even when he's getting his coffee.
Yep.
Right? Like,
even when he's getting his coffee.
I'm drinking my coffee. He wants to enjoy that family establishment.
Yeah.
Which is a corner diner.
Yep.
But yeah, like, he's, aside from when, like, Smokey goes over the line. The one time where, the rest of the whole escapade, he's very much like the dude. He's, like, not getting too freaked out about the situation.
Yeah.
Nothing can happen.
Very, laid back, just rolls with the punches. No matter how crazy things get, I mean, he's right in the middle of it.
I guess he does kind of blow up Larry.
Yeah, he does. He does. He does blow up a little bit with Larry.
But within the situation of what's actually going on, he's like, there's nothing wrong with this situation.
Yeah.
He's explaining up the situation that the dude's rug's been pissed on, that the money was stolen from them, at least he thinks, and that he doesn't have his undies.
Yep. His briefcase full of tidy whities. Oh, yeah.
And then there's just Donnie, he's just like the child.
Yep. Always comes in late to the conversation, never really quite understands what's going on, but he still goes along with it.
And he just wants his In-N-Out burger.
Yep, just wants his In-N-Out burger.
Those are some good burgers.
They are. Oh, then...
But yeah, it's like, it's like kind of like their round table, I guess, is the bowling alley. It's kind of meet, and it goes off from there, and he convinces the dude, it should be the other Lebowski.
Yep. Yeah. All well, bring in his ex-wife's dog that he calls a Pomeranian, but it's really a Yorkie, into the bowling alley with him because he's watching the dog while she's out of town. Did you ever notice the dog's name? It's written on the dog carrier. There's a little nameplate on above the door on the carrier. His name's Thurston.
Like that should be Brant's name. And
it really should be.
The Pomeranian should be Brant.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Brant, brilliantly played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. Oh, that's got to be. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman was a fantastic actor, right?
He was a fantastic actor. At that point, he was still very much not that well known. A lot of very, kind of smallish supporting roles. Twister.
Yep.
Patch Adams.
Yep.
I think before Big Lebowski, I don't think I would have realized that Brant was the same character from Twister.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
same actor.
Yeah, same actor. But yeah, with all of the amazing roles that he's had since then, I would still have to put Brant as my all-time favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman role.
Yes.
He was perfect for that role.
Yeah.
He played him so well.
It's one of the few. It's funny. It's one of the few straight roles.
In the entire movie.
In the movie.
Yeah.
And yet, there's still there's a little bit of a comedic edge to it.
Exactly.
As well.
It's one of the few straight roles, but it's.
I think when they're in a limo.
Just repeating everything that the Big Lebowski's saying, just a lot calmer.
Yep, this is our concern, dude.
and as soon as the dude said that he wanted to be called the dude, Brant never called him Mr. Lebowski again. He called him the dude every time he talked to him again for the rest of the movie.
That was the thing I was going to say. When he first meets him, he's being the proper butler, right? Calling someone Mr. Lebowski or And from then on, he's like, it's all about, he just calls him the dude.
As soon as the dude asks him to call him the dude, then he calls him the dude
the proper
every time he
thing
talks
to do
to him.
as the butler, right?
Exactly. He calls somebody what they want to be called. But
I just love that reaction at the poolside.
Yes. Yes. Oh.
We're all very fond of her.
He's just so uncomfortable.
I'm gonna find a cash machine.
He's trying to end the conversation because he's so uncomfortable, but he doesn't know how to end it and get the dude back to his car.
But it's interesting. I was kind of thinking about this most recent rewatch, and I guess it's because I'd seen the movie Magnolia not long before it. Came out about a year after Big Lebowski, and he doesn't play the same character, but in a similar situation where he plays a nurse. He plays a nurse. He's not a butler, but he's a nurse to a guy with a lot of money and kind of his aide in a way. And so it's kind of, I thought it was kind of an interesting side by side comparison, and it's very different movies. But yeah, he plays the two of them in some ways the same. Both are in L.A. But that's the thing about his characters. Like, it's a straight character within this movie of really off-the-wall characters. Even though the movie does feel like it really fits into and is a real setting. It's not just some crazy made-up thing. Right?
Okay, yeah.
But he fits perfectly within it. And yeah, like you're saying, like, he just kind of repeats what the Big Lebowski says. And he kind of becomes the reasonable mouthpiece of the Big Lebowski.
Because the Big Lebowski's mad, he's yelling at him, and Brant's just sitting there. He's very calmly, maybe changing maybe paraphrasing what the Big Lebowski's saying, but saying it a lot more calmly. And
yeah, it's a great role for him. It's kind of like, again, like I said, it's one of his earlier roles in a way before we kind of became more of like the more noted character actor, I guess.
Yeah.
Sadly, we no longer have him.
But yeah, I mean, it was a testament to his acting ability to be able to play Brant the way that he did. Because like you were saying, he was one of the few just straight characters in the movie. Like, not comedic to the core or anything like so many others in the movie were, but he played him completely straight. But there were times when he was actually one of the funniest people in the movie.
Yes.
Just because of the way that he was performed.
It's the line I just always come back to. I've already said, it's like, this is our concern, dude.
It's the way he said.
He's got his hand on his lap, just like kind of flat.
Yep. He's sitting there, his shoulders are sitting up straight. He's got perfect posture in the back of the limo. He's got his hands just sitting in his lap.
Yeah, Big Lebowski screaming about the plane crashing into the mountain. He's like, this is our concern.
This is our concern, dude.
Very businesslike about it. But, and again, like it's the bad cat part, thing I was thinking about in that part of it. It was like, again, we talked about how, like, you have Walter's, like, very intuitive. It's like, oh, yeah, no. Well, not, I guess Ma's the one that brings up this point about who, not knowing your kidnappers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like the dude just kind of floating out there all around what's going on. He eventually figures it out. But I guess it's...
the dude's got a lot of other stuff on his plate, too, though. I mean,
he does.
He has the obligation that, he promised his landlord that he would go to his play. So he's got to make it to that. He's got the bowling league that he's trying to get in the championship.
That's what Walter's concerned about. Walter's right. It's it's the round robin.
Yeah. And then he gets all this Big Lebowski stuff thrown on his plate, and so he's got to take care of that.
Again, he just walks into it. He doesn't walk. It gets walked into him with the Chinaman, Asian American. Please.
It's not the preferred vernacular.
Nomenclature.
Or nomenclature. Yes, nomenclature. There we go. Not the preferred nomenclature.
But yeah, and then it's just the kind of switching in between. Like you have all those characters set now, and then you get the Jesus.
Yes, John
John Turturro. It's John Turturro. He's a Jewish dude playing a Latin American bowler.
He only has a couple of scenes in the movie, but
he has two scenes, plus like that flashback.
Yeah,
where he's going door to door.
Yep.
Because
he had to register
to explain
as
that he's got a record.
Yep.
He's a sex offender with a record.
Not just any sex offender, a child sex offender.
The thing I've always like, Liam is his teammate. See Liam, and they're drawing the balls together.
Yeah,
and you briefly see like their third teammate, but you never ever hear anything else about him. You don't hear his name. You don't see him again.
You see the Jesus. You see Liam, and you see. I guess Smokey's not on their team. No, Smokey's Smokey's on a different team. You're right. I don't think Smokey would roll with the Jesus. No, probably not.
He's a pacifist, man. He's a conscientious objector.
Yep. But yeah, you're right. You see the Jesus, you see Liam, but you only see their third teammate just sitting in chairs back in the back.
Sitting in the background. Like he points to Liam, and Liam points back, and you see him sitting behind Liam. They all got the same colored bowling shirt, right? It's purple. Yeah. And he's got like a jet black mustache. That's about all you see of him. He kind of nods. That's it. Later, when Jesus is upset that Walter got the date changed, so he wouldn't roll on Saturday.
Because he doesn't roll on a Shabbos.
You don't see him. You see Liam in that scene, but you don't see the other teammate. So who is the other teammate? Always want to know that.
I mean, maybe they'll make another movie about him. I mean, they made one about the Jesus. They made the Jesus Rolls, which I haven't seen, but I have not heard good things about it.
I have not heard good things. It is not affiliated with the Coens. It's just the character.
Okay, so it's not affiliated with the Coens at all?
Yes, it's just
okay. Dude, that makes me feel better about it, because I was afraid that it was somehow affiliated with them, and
But he's another Coen regular, or at least up to that point. He was very common Coen. Barton Fink, Miller's Crossing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou, which was after.
Miller's Crossing. But yeah, he's really good collaborator with him at that point. Yeah, and so he's just another one of those crazy, iconic characters of the movie. And it's funny because he really does add almost nothing to the plot. He's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
He's eating with the bowling alley. That's it.
Licking his bowling ball before he rolls it. Just with the tip of his tongue. Oh.
They have Hotel California to play, which does come up again later in the movie.
In Spanish.
And it's not, it's like a Spanish cover of it. It's not a Spanish dub of it.
The music was phenomenal, and the music choices were just so well done.
Just bounce between the Eagles and the Creedence.
I mean, everybody goes on and on about James Gunn's music in the Guardians movies and other movies that he makes. Which, yes, James Gunn has a great music selection for his movies, but nobody talks enough about the Coen Brothers selection.
No.
Coen Brothers have a great ear for music in their movies. They know what songs are going to fit, which ones are just going to be perfect for different scenes.
Absolutely. No, I was thinking, you mentioned Gunn, I was thinking about Tarantino also.
Oh, yeah. Tarantino also. But yeah, not enough people really appreciate how important the music is for just setting the scene in the movie.
Absolutely. Especially when you kind of think about, it could be, whether it be the score, especially when it's the soundtrack. You kind of forget how important that soundtrack can be in terms of, especially when it's, you're not an original soundtrack. Picking stuff up, especially within a period piece, which, at that point, it
was still somewhat a period piece. I mean, it was
released in 98. It was still, but again, a lot of the music that you listen to is actually from like the 70s because of who the characters are.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to be listening to 70s music, not 90s music, because that's their generation's music is, Creedence or the Eagles or whoever it might be.
I just realized what's so great about Hotel California playing over the Jesus scene. Because it just hit me. I don't know why it just hit me for the dozens of times that I've seen the movie. It never hit me until now. But, the dude hates the Eagles.
Yes.
And with the Jesus being pretty much his enemy in the bowling alley anyway. It's an Eagles song that's playing over him. I mean, it's a Spanish cover of an Eagles song, but still, it's fitting. I don't know why I just realized that, but
yeah, it is. You mentioned the music. I kind of had forgotten about this. I made a note of it when I was rewatching it. Yeah, I was actually had kind of on in the background credits. I was watching it the other day. And I don't think I ever really got to the end of the credits before, but they have a Sean Colvin cover of Viva Las Vegas.
Really?
And yes, she recorded a cover specifically for the Big Lebowski.
Wow.
Viva Las Vegas, which, you hear Bunny listening to it when she's in the car.
Yeah. Then crashes into the fountain.
I thought, that's actually very specific to a time because I don't think I've listened to Sean Colvin in forever. I barely listened to her in the 90s, aside from whatever might come on the radio that my parents had on, right? She's kind of one of those forgotten singer-songwriters. Anyway, I was listening to, it was this female singing Viva Las Vegas, and who was that? And I just stayed, I kept watching it, and I saw it come down to the music credits, and Sean Colvin, really, Sean Colvin recorded a song for the Big Lebowski.
Wow. Huh.
Anyway. But yeah, the choice bands, the music, it sets it off. They set it within to the characters, too.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, any movie, it is really crucial to have certain themes attached to them. And the Coens do it well.
Yeah.
Before it all starts to go crazy. We set up all the different characters. We haven't met really all the characters yet, because Maude comes later.
Yeah, Maude comes in later, and the nihilists come in later.
Yeah, I mean,
you kind of see Peter Stormare floating around in the pool when
floating in the pool.
Big Lebowski's mansion.
He's a nihilist. He don't care. Empty bottle of Jack. He has an empty bottle of Jack.
Yep.
Which is weird. He's a German nihilist. Why is he drinking Jack?
Well, that's a good question. Now, did you notice something that I noticed here? When they're leaving the bowling alley, the dude and Walter are walking out of the door. Walter's carrying the dog carrier, but the dog's not in it. Right. He's running along the ground next to him at their heels.
Yes.
Runs up around the side of the car. Walter opens up the back door of the dude's car, puts the dog carrier in, and then closes the door. The dog never got in the car. They must have gone back for it or picked it up and put it in there at some point. But you never see him put the dog in the car because the dog shows up later in the movie.
Yes.
But the dog shows up when they go to confront the Big Lebowski later. Thurston's sitting there running in the house with him. But yeah, he never gets in the car
after Walter drops him.
Yep.
It's kind of an interesting little continuity thing, They happen. They get stuck in there sometimes.
Yep. Now, I mean, it's possible that you don't actually see the underneath the car or anything like that because it's a small dog. The dog, I guess, could have jumped up in the car. You just don't see it because the car is blocking him. But the way that the scene is played, it doesn't look like the dog jumped up into the car. So,
no.
But sometimes you just have to accept those little minor continuity issues.
Yeah,
but
it's fine. They happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have this setup there, and now we get to the story, which obviously always, when you look back at it, it's like this strange thing, kidnapping Bunny, especially with what we know of Jackie Treehorn's thugs.
Yeah.
That they would just kind of kidnap her and ask for all that. Jackie Treehorn had better methods than just doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that a famous, at
Porn
least
producer.
famous in the porn circles, famous producer would sink to kidnapping something that could very easily, get out to the public that he's involved in,
He could when he
has other methods that he could use.
Back to the Big Lebowski without kidnapping money.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I always think this is weird. It's like pretty obvious he's this porn producer, but like, how does he carry like a lot of weight in Malibu?
Yeah.
It's a quiet beach community.
Yeah.
With a massive porn producer. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascist police chief. Anyway.
Yep. Now, when the dude does get to Jackie Treehorn's house and they're having that big beach party outside, you can't forget about. I wrote him down on my notes as too excited trampoline guy. If you've seen the movie, you know which guy I'm talking about.
You and I have talked about them plenty of times.
Yes, we have.
He's kind of like, one of those almost unsung extras.
It's one of those human trampolines. So they've got a bunch of people around holding this.
Showing the woman.
Yep. They're just throwing this woman up on this human trampoline, and it keeps on zooming in on the guy's face, and he's just way too excited about the whole thing. He's got his Kenny G hair.
That excited to be at Jackie Treehorn party? Like, he finally got invited.
Oh.
Anyway. But yeah, the entire situation around it, like, they even kind of do mention it. It's like, it stinks. It's kind of a crazy plot. It's within the movie. But the entire situation, it stinks. And even beyond everything, like, the dude speaks with them on the phone and definitely doesn't sound like anybody else. They all look very different from everything he experienced in the apartment, right? There's three of them. Now they walk just during undies.
Yeah, because the Big Lebowski gave him a briefcase full of phone books, told him it was $1 million to make the exchange, and Walter created a ringer by taking a briefcase and filling it full of his dirty undies.
Kind of a smart idea, I guess.
Yeah. But as the dude says later, you switched out a ringer for a ringer.
Those, by the way, some of the little details. It's always funny watching movies, especially I think from like the late 90s, early 2000s. And I see like, oh, yeah, if I hadn't made a day, these little details would be different, right?
Yeah.
Like the phone they gave the dude.
Yes.
They would have given like a burner cell phone.
Yeah, they would have given a burner cell phone, but that was the cell phone of the early 90s. Like the purse phone, the box with the phone on top of it and a shoulder strap. Yeah. That was the cell phone of the early 90s. Yeah. 1991.
Which, and I guess it's the funny thing about, like, even though, like, the movie was definitely made, like I said, like, it was about 7 years after it takes place. They still fit that time frame well, knowing those details. But none of it feels dated. You know? It just feels like a movie that was set in that year, and they found the way to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Like, nothing about it even feels like it was made in the late 90s. Right? Some movies that might be kind of take place in a different year still kind of like, oh yeah, you can tell that movie was made then. But Big Lebowski doesn't. But
yeah, and that just
period pieces, right?
Goes even more into how great of filmmakers the Coen Brothers are. They take all of that into account, and they're able to pull it off so many times. Because how many of the Coen Brothers movies are more or less a period piece? They set a lot of movies at least a few years in the past.
Yes. Most of them are. Like, one that I think about, a movie that's very similar. It takes a darker tone. Is A Serious Man. And that's a movie that takes place in the 60s that was made, like, in the late 2000s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, taking place in the Dust Bowl.
Takes place in the 30s. And then a few of them like would be like modern day. Like Raising Arizona was the current day, 1987, present day of the movie. No Country for Old Men was like 1980.
Yeah, that was in the 80s. Yeah, it came out in the 2000s, but it took place in the 80s.
Yeah, like you said, most of theirs don't take place in the year that's actually some more
do,
recent,
but,
some, but yeah,
some are only a few years, separate from when they came out. But
Lebowski, it's pretty close time period, but it's still the past, and as anyone knows, the early '90s and late '90s are very different. But I like kind of picking up on, especially now more so than other times. Especially, I think movies that take place like in the '90s were made in the '90s, right? And picking up on some of those details, like, oh yeah, this would be different if now. Like,
'90s movies especially. There's just certain things that you could do making a movie in the '90s that you can't do now. Yeah.
Anyway, so the drop off goes awry and sets off the rest of it because now you have all these other parties.
Yeah,
you just don't have Lebowski. You also have Jackie Treehorn Slugs, right? You have the Nihilist, and then
you have Maude.
You get Maude, the China.
Her introduction is so perfect. Crazy, but it's so perfect for her character.
He's just walking in. He's confused. Like, where am I?
Just hears some eerie music, and then she just comes in on a zip line.
Lady comes on a zip line with paintbrushes.
Just splashes the paint all over a canvas that's laid out on the floor. Why did she have to be naked for that?
To represent the female form.
Okay.
Her work is strongly vaginal.
That's true. And then she's got just randomly hanging up in her loft apartment. She's got just a random painting of scissors, which comes back. Yeah, which comes back later, and is referenced with the Nihilists, threatening to cut off the dude's Johnson after they throw a ferret in his bathtub.
And
while he's
by the way, thinking about that artwork, like as much as it's supposed to be the female form, I thought that it kind of looks like what Jackson Pollock tried to do to Vitruvian Man.
Huh.
Kind of looks like that to me.
Okay.
Anyway, that's an aside. But it's so strange that she's completely naked.
Just in a harness on a zip line. Just
the first thing she says that is, does the female form make you uncomfortable, Mr. Lebowski?
In the tone, and cadence that only Julianne Moore can do.
But with her character, that's some of the stuff I like about it. You pick up on it later in the movie. Like, why she's asking that after you watch it again, because she wants a child.
Yes, and that's why she sends him to the doctor, who is very good and thorough. Who, of course, is played by Ranjit from How I Met Your Mother.
Yep. Who pretty much seems like the same character. Anyway, but, and like Brant always calls him the dude. She just always calls him,
Jeffrey.
First she says Mr. Lebowski, and then Jeffrey. And he's okay with it.
Yeah, he's okay with that.
He's perfectly comfortable with Jeffrey. Because he didn't want to be called Mr. Lebowski, because he's not Mr. Lebowski.
And, part of it is also because Maude never disrespected him.
No.
From their first meeting, she always showed him respect. They always had an interesting relationship to where she is probably the one person that could get away with calling him Jeffrey.
Yep. And it's a terrific role for her. And I think at that time, I probably couldn't have told you who Julianne Moore was when I first saw it. And she's just such a terrific actress. And
when did
character for her.
When did The Lost World come out? The second Jurassic Park movie? Was that before
that was
or
actually
after?
Before.
Was it before? Okay,
it was before.
Yeah, because I had seen her in that, and then she was also in Boogie Nights. I didn't see that till years later.
I was going to say, I don't think you saw.
No, I did not see Boogie Nights before I saw The Big Lebowski.
Well, she was also in Shortcuts.
She was in that too. But yeah, so I had seen her in The Lost World, but not much else before Big Lebowski.
I forgot about that. I would have known that, and I don't think I would have thought about that going into.
But they're two completely different characters, so it's very easy to think that it's a different actress.
Yes, one she's shacking with Ian Malcolm or Jeff Goldblum, the other one's Jeff Bridges. Anyway, she shows the dude log jamming. She doesn't want to be responsible for any delayed side effects.
And she's the one who points out that the Nihilists used to have a band called Autobahn.
Yes.
They had one record that didn't do very well.
But yeah, again, she's very small role for Julianne Moore. Even at that point, I guess, yes.
Oh, also,
she's starting to.
So Peter Stormare's character, I'm sure it's a stage name for his porn career. But do you know what his character's name is? It's not
Carl Hungus.
Carl Hungus. It's not actually said there in the credits or anything. He's just listed as one of the Nihilists in the credits. Yeah. But yeah, they mentioned his name once in the movie. It's Carl Hungus.
My dispatcher said, I am expert. What's funny is, he's also in Fargo, which is, the movie before Big Lebowski for the talent, right? But with movies, he speaks very kind of broken English.
Yep.
Right? I don't think either character is necessarily stupid. They speak very broken English. Like I said, I am expert. Give what you have us, and we call it even. I have $4. Almost $5.
Yep. And Donnie's like, I got $13. Oh, and then we can't forget that one of the other Nihilists is played by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Who I think you would kind of forget he shows up in random movies. He's also in Back to the Future.
Yeah, he's Needles in Back to the Future 2 and 3, and now he's in the Star Wars universe.
Yes,
having a small part in Obi-Wan.
Like one of the greatest bases of all time. Just shows up in randomly classic movies.
Randomly shows up in movies. But I guess if you're going to randomly show up in movies, he's picked some good ones. If you're going to be in random movies, might as well make almost every one of the movies you show up in a classic.
It's such an odd group, those three. The three Nihilists, too.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who plays the third one.
Yeah, I can't. I've seen him several times before. I just can't place his name.
He just gets it. Yeah. He gets his face beat up by Walter. Walter single-handedly
takes all three of them out. And Flea has a gun.
Yeah,
Flea has an MP5K, but before he can use it, he gets hit in the stomach with a bowling ball.
It's like the most intense scene, right? And does it lead to Donnie's heart attack? I don't know. Poor Donnie. I mean, we talked about how Steve Buscemi plays him so perfectly,
but like you said before, in just about every one of the Coen Brothers movies that he's in, his character dies.
Yeah, and he dies in Fargo.
The interesting thing about that, every time they show Donnie bowl throughout the movie, he's always hitting strikes. That night, he doesn't. He dies. There's one pin left standing. Thorsten Vogue is the third Nihilist.
What's interesting about Buscemi in the Coen Brothers movies, though, is that when he dies, as the movies progress, his remains get smaller and smaller. So the previous movie we talked about, Fargo, spoiler alert, he gets put through a wood chipper.
Yep.
But he does have the lower part of a leg remaining.
Yep.
But after he dies in Big Lebowski with his heart attack, he gets cremated.
Yep, he gets cremated, and
it's just
because they don't want to pay $180 for an urn.
The most modestly
priced receptacle that the funeral home has. They just go to Ralph's and they buy a Folgers coffee can. So the question is, did they just dump out the coffee, or
And then he brew it first.
Yeah,
Or they mix
did they put the coffee in a different can or like a Ziploc bag or something like that, so that they could brew it later, or did they just dump out the coffee so they could have the can? And then did they clean the can out before they put Donnie's ashes in it, or is there some coffee grounds mixed in with Donnie's ashes?
Walter pinches pennies. I highly doubt he just dumped out the coffee.
Yeah, true.
He probably drank it.
He probably put it in a different receptacle so that he could drink it later. And I mean, they respected Donnie. He was their friend. I'm sure they at least rinsed out the can before putting his ashes in there.
They were trying to do what his dying wishes might well have been.
Might well have been. I love it. They go stand on the cliff, and they're gonna sprinkle his ashes over the ocean, and then the wind picks up and blows it all back at him. And the dude is covered in Donnie. Again,
Walter brings everything back to Vietnam.
Yep, in his eulogy for Donnie, he brings up Vietnam.
What the fuck does everything have to do with Vietnam?
Oh.
But I like the emotion the dude shows there. Like, he gets angry at that point of it. There, he seems generally upset. Right? He's lost his friend.
Yeah. I mean, he's been through a lot in the course of the movie.
It's been crazy. He's lost his car. All the dude wanted was his rug back. And, not saying that that's the cause, obviously, of Donnie dying, but everything else, all the craziness.
No. Donnie, he died because he had a heart attack.
Stayed.
Now, it could have been because of the shock of having the nihilists there threatening them, or it could have been some other factor that caused it.
Who knows? But it's just such a madcap of a movie. Mm-hmm. And it's it's a complete story. And the Coen Brothers, they had a master of it. They know what they want to do with it. And the whole thing just, like a bowling ball down the lane. It just rolls.
Yep.
It gets to its destination.
And it knocks down all the pins.
Knocks down all the pins, right? And, it's kind of, I think it really, it's a movie that's good kind of summary of really who they are, or at least how they think, kind of their outlook on life, just the randomness of things. And it kind of even speaks within the scene of, like we were saying, the one scene where Donnie doesn't get a strike.
Yeah,
right?
He dies at the end of that scene.
But, the dude puts it well, strikes those gutters and move along. And then, the stranger brings up, it's a little Lebowski comment,
Yep.
People come, they go.
Yep.
It's easy to see it as it being nihilistic in some ways, but it's not. There's nihilists in the movie who aren't really nihilists.
Yeah.
Because that's not fair. His girlfriend gave up her toe.
Yeah. Oh, which brings us back to the diner scene. Oh, the diner.
You want a toe?
I can get you a toe.
And I think that it's the middle scene in the movie, the diner scene, and I think it's perfect. It's actually it's not in the bowling alley, not the apartments. It's just this random California diner.
Because the toe in question is supposedly Bunny's toe that was sent to the Big Lebowski, who then in the limo scene had Brandt give it to the dude. But the diner scene was shortly after that scene.
To find someone else's toe, paint it green, and go. Which is exactly
what they did. It was the nihilist girlfriend's toe. But it causes Walter to have a big freak out in the middle of the diner and then refuses to leave because this is America and he's going to finish his coffee.
The Supreme Court has roundly rejected prior restrictions.
I'm going to finish my coffee.
I'm sure he enjoyed that call.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
And that's why I finally, you know what? Because I was watching it, it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, you know what? I should drink some coffee watching this.
Yep.
You need the coffee to deal with the rest of the day. Can't have a beer right now. Not going to do the right restaurant right now. Let's do the coffee. Because there's a coffee scene in the movie.
I mean, coffee's a good midday drink. I mean, it's...
Yeah, totally. was like he enjoys a black, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, if I'm having coffee, I always have it black. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but I do drink it on occasion, and when I do drink it, I drink it black.
It's a good choice. Yeah, I think that kind of sums up most of the movie up for me. I mean, I can go on and on about so many other aspects of it. Touched on some of the other characters. We didn't get into John Polito's character.
Yeah, if we were to go into everything about this movie, this podcast episode would be a lot longer.
And that's the thing I thought about with this. Like, it's how well the Coens construct everything.
Yeah, there's just so much content in a 2-hour movie.
In the middle of all this craziness, the dude takes time to soak in the bath with candles.
Yeah, while listening to the song of the whale.
This is a private residence, man.
Oh,
there's all these other things within it, and you can go on.
And we haven't even mentioned little Larry Sellers, or we mentioned him, but we didn't really get into the scene. But
with the greatest TV
the son of Arthur Digby Sellers, who wrote 108 episodes of Branded, the bulk of the series.
You're killing your father, Larry.
He's in an iron lung. Larry, the man is here.
He's in the movie. What's some old dude doing an iron lung in
Yeah. Is he still writing? Oh, no.
He has health problems.
No, he has health problems.
As you can see, there's still so many other aspects. Like even after that scene, they talk up about, that's near the In-N-Out Burger.
Yep.
And 2 cars get destroyed.
A brand new, or at least in 91, a brand new Corvette that Walter destroys because he thinks that Larry bought it with the money that was in the dude's car, the money in the briefcase. It turns out there was no money in the briefcase.
All that.
Yeah, Larry's probably sitting there laughing, or actually probably not, because Larry was not a very expressive kid.
Larry's pretty stoic.
Yeah,
very quiet. It's probably why he's fucking social studies.
Yep, probably.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it again. I'm gonna watch it again. Again and again.
It's always a good one to watch. I mean, like we were saying with Star Wars, it's in that group of movies that you can watch over and over, and it never gets old.
It doesn't, and it's in one I don't randomly flip through the channel on the weekend anymore.
Yeah,
but if I were and I was like Big Lebowski was on TV,
you're gonna at least watch part of it. You're gonna have it on for until you have something else that you have to do. But yeah, it's one of those movies that if it's on, you're gonna watch it. When you're flipping through, if you see it on there, I want to
see what happens when we find a stranger in the Alps.
Yes. you have to see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. Greatest TV dub in the history of TV dubs.
Yep.
It's right up there with Yippee-Ki-Yay and Melon Farmer.
Oh my gosh. Kudos to that. I mean, Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, John Turturro, Philip Seymour Hoffman, all of them terrific. I mean, even dude's still on board.
Yeah,
it's a nice little skit.
Yep, his little one-man play that they go to right before going and visiting little Larry Sellers.
Which, I guess that's kind of the last thing. Like, the dude's still true to that guy. That's just who the dude is.
Yeah.
He says, I will be there. In the middle of all this going on.
He goes. There. He could have, he had plenty of other places that were probably more important for him to be, but not to the dude. The dude said he would be there, and he was there. I am still kind of, the poster for the movie, it still kind of upsets me that the names are switched. Yeah. Because the poster, it has Jeff Bridges and John Goodman standing on there, as the dude and Walter. But above Jeff Bridges' name, it says John Goodman. Above John Goodman, it says Jeff Bridges.
Yep. It's always weird when movies do that. I don't get that. Why do movies do that?
Because if you don't know who these people are, you're going to look at the poster and you're going to think that Jeff Bridges is John Goodman and John Goodman is Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Because their names are above the wrong people. But yeah, so that's always bugged me about the poster. I mean, it's a great poster otherwise.
No, it really is. I mean, you have both the characters are big and large in it. You have the bowling alley.
Yeah, I mean, and
they're both very representative of themselves in it.
Yeah.
You know?
It shows the basic premise of the movie, you know, that it's about these guys that, you know, love bowling and a bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah, they also, obviously, they're not on the poster. I think it lists Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, and John Turturro as well. So it gives you, you know, the basic outline of all of it. It's very easy to go strictly with, like, the floating heads. It's kind of there, but they do a little bit more with it to give you the idea of what's happening.
Yeah, until recently, I had the special edition DVD that actually came in a little bowling ball.
Yes,
it was
I've
nice.
had
The
that.
DVD case was,
well.
it was a little bowling ball that you could open up, and the discs were in it.
But it's funny about, like, I have a lot of the editions of it, but I always go back to that first one. Yeah. I always like put in.
Yep, that's the one that. Yeah, that back in the day, you and I used to watch all the time. It was that original release.
Yep.
So that's I guess that's
Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Fantastic movie.
Yes.
So well done. So funny. And
I almost always have to watch it by myself now because my wife won't watch it. This is how it is. Yeah.
And it's the movie that more or less defined Jeff Bridges' career.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, he's went on to win an Oscar after it. And do a few other movies as kind of that grizzled old man, you know.
Yeah, but he always...
Which is very different than
he always finds a way to throw a little bit of the dude into most of his performances.
Yes, he does. Yeah, it's great. And for me, it probably won't be another Coen's movie that I'll place above it. Others are close, especially Fargo and Miller's Crossing are very much up there.
Yeah, and I mean, I love Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, but it's still not as high up as Big Lebowski for me.
The other one
and Raising Arizona. I mean, Raising Arizona is awesome too, but it's still Big Lebowski is higher up in my rating.
The other one, it's very similar to it, and it's not as good as it, but it's almost even more off the wall in some ways. Is Burn After Reading. Okay,
see, I haven't seen that one yet. But
yeah, and it's another just crazy kind of comedy, and it's similar in a way to that.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you haven't, you know, anyone's out there, if you've seen Big Lebowski, you want to watch other Coen Brothers movies, go ahead. It's worth it.
I mean, Coen Brothers, we'll
cover more.
They can make flat out comedies. They can make dramas. They can. I mean, a lot of times they'll sort of alternate between a comedy and a drama.
There's always some dark comedy in their movies.
Some more than others, but
like even though Country for Old Men, which is probably one of the most serious movies, has a few scenes where you're just kind of chuckling at aspects of it. Anyway, or if you've never seen a Coen Brothers movie and you've made it through this entire podcast of us talking about the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, especially if you have not seen the Big Lebowski. You should check it out. You should watch The Big Lebowski. It is totally worth the 2 hours that you're going to be sitting down watching it. It is not a waste of your time at all. But yeah, so that's the Big Lebowski. Join us next time. We're going to be doing we're going to stick with the comedy for a little bit. For at least the next couple episodes, but next one we are going to be doing Shaun of the Dead, that Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright movie. Well, Edgar Wright directed, Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright wrote it, but was starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. So kind of everyone's introduction to kind of that crew. Yeah, well, America's introduction to that crew. Yes, that's probably the better way of saying it. Yeah. So yeah, join us for